The storm approached. The blackness of space was calm, quiet, and endless. Then it came, a storm. Unlike anything humans had ever seen. It was not a cloud of gas or dust, not a normal cosmic event. It was alive with lightning, giant arcs of blue and white that flashed across its surface. It stretched for thousands of kilometers. A spinning wall of chaos moving slowly toward Earth. Inside its swirling body, something moved, shapes like massive ships. Shadows hidden in the boiling clouds. On Earth, the first warning came when satellites began to vanish from the network. One by one, the signals died, not from damage, but from something that swallowed them whole. The images before blackout showed the same thing. The edge of the storm creeping closer. The scientists called it the eye of the storm. The military called it the end of the line. In orbit, the defense fleets prepared. Every station, every warship, every laser battery turned toward the storm. But deep in their hearts, every soldier knew. They had never fought in an environment like this. In the storm, there would be no radar, no targeting systems, no communications. Only darkness, lightning, and whatever was hiding inside at the International Command Center. Voices clashed. Generals demanded a full attack before the storm reached Earth. Admirals warned it was suicide. The president stood silent, watching. The live feed from the only probe still transmitting. The probe moved into the outer layer of the storm. The screen showed nothing but madness. Spinning clouds, bolts of energy that split ships in a single strike. And then, a shadow. A massive alien warship slid past the camera. It was dark, covered in glowing symbols that pulsed like a heartbeat. Then the feed went dead. In that silence, a decision was made. They would send one ship into the heart of the storm. One ship to find out what was inside. One ship to destroy the source if they could. It would be the most dangerous mission ever attempted by humans. That ship was the Aegis, an experimental stealth cruiser designed for deep space combat. It had thicker armor, manual controls, and a crew trained to fight without AI assistance. If any vessel could survive in that chaos, it was the Aegis. The crew boarded with faces set in steel. Captain Elara Voss, a veteran of the Titan Wars, led them. Her voice was calm, but her eyes carried the weight of what was coming. She had fought in asteroid sieges, alien boarding actions, and Black Ops missions deep in enemy territory. But this was different. She knew they might never return. The launch was silent. No cheers, no speeches. Only the low hum of the engines and the tension in the air as the Aegis left orbit. Earth grew smaller behind them. Ahead, the storm grew larger, its lightning flashing like the wrath of gods inside the ship. Systems flickered as they neared the outer edge. The shields groaned under sudden bursts of electromagnetic force. The hull trembled like it wanted to turn back. "Steady," Elara said, her voice calm as ice. The crew worked with precision, switching off non-essential systems to save power. Already, their sensors were blind outside. The storm's wall towered before them like a living mountain of black and blue. The moment they crossed it, everything changed. Darkness swallowed them. Only the flashes of lightning revealed glimpses of horror, twisted shapes drifting past. Wrecks of human ships torn apart. Some of those wrecks still had lights on, and shadows moved inside them. The crew gripped their controls tighter. Every flash revealed more alien drones gliding silently through the storm, scanning the wreckage. One drone passed so close to the Aegis that the crew could see the strange glowing marks etched into its metal body. It paused, as if listening. Everyone held their breath. Then lightning flashed again, and the drone vanished into the mist. They were inside now. The storm roared around them. The mission had begun. And somewhere in that darkness, the enemy was waiting. ***, first contact in Chaos storm swallowed the Aegis completely. Outside, The world was nothing but black clouds and sudden flashes of blinding light every few seconds. The storm's lightning lit up the wreckage of ships drifting in silence. Some were human, some were alien, and some were too strange to identify. They floated like ghosts, their hulls torn open, their lights still faintly glowing. It felt less like flying through space and more like sinking into the bottom of an endless ocean. The crew worked in silence, every eye on the dim green glow of the emergency displays. The storm had blinded their sensors completely, forcing them to rely only on manual readings. In the background, the low hum of the engines was the only steady sound every few moments. The ship shook violently as a wave of energy slammed into it. Each impact felt like a warning, like the storm itself wanted them gone. Then they saw it. The first alien drone. It appeared in a flash of lightning, a black, insect-like machine with long, spiked limbs and a single glowing eye. It moved silently, scanning the wreckage, searching for survivors or intruders. Captain Alara signaled for a full stop. The engines went quiet. The crew held their breath. The drone floated closer, weaving slowly between drifting debris. Its single eye glowed brighter as it passed by, scanning the surface of each broken hull. When it came near the Aegis, the light swept across their ship. The crew sat frozen. Then, just as quickly, the drone turned away and vanished into the darkness. "Lucky," muttered one of the gunners. Alara didn't answer. She knew luck would not last forever. Minutes later, more drones appeared. Not one, but 5, moving in perfect formation. Their movements were sharp, precise, like a hunting pack. The lead drone tilted slightly, and the others copied instantly. It was not random. They were searching, and the Aegis was in their path. "Helm," Alara said quietly, "take us down." The ship tilted and sank deeper into the thick clouds. Lightning flashed again, revealing twisted metal and broken towers from some massive alien structure. It was not a shipwreck. It was a part of something bigger, a wall of black metal stretching far into the distance. They had found something hidden inside the storm, something built to last. But there was no time to study it. The drones had noticed the movement. They changed direction sharply, speeding toward the Aegis. "They've locked on," shouted the weapons officer. "Not yet," Alara replied. "Cut the power to the main systems, now." The lights inside the ship dimmed to near darkness. The engines went quiet. The Aegis drifted silently through the black. Hidden in the storm, the drones slowed, scanning the area. They moved with unsettling patience, circling slowly. One of them drifted so close that its spiked limb scraped along the outer hull. The sound was like nails across steel. It stayed there for a long moment, then finally moved away. One by one, the drones faded into the mist, disappearing completely. The crew let out a slow breath, but the relief didn't last. From somewhere deeper in the storm, a massive shadow began to move. It was not a drone. It was bigger, far bigger. Its shape was hidden in the clouds, but the flashes of lightning revealed enough. A long, serpentine body, armored in jagged plates, with glowing eyes that burned like blue fire. It moved slowly, deliberately, as if it owned this place. The smaller drones followed behind it like loyal hunters. Alara knew what this meant. They had not just entered the storm, they had entered enemy territory. And the storm was not just a natural phenomenon. It was a weapon. The massive shadow turned, and for a split second, one of its glowing eyes locked onto the Aegis. Then it vanished into the swirling dark, leaving only the echo of its presence behind. No one spoke, because they all knew the same thing. The first contact had been made, and the real hunt had just begun. The eye revealed the Aegis moved deeper into the storm. Every kilometer felt heavier, like the air itself was pressing against the ship. The lightning was stronger here. bolts so bright they burned after images into the crew's eyes. The walls of the storm twisted and spun around them like a giant whirlpool of clouds, and yet, in the middle of all that chaos, the navigation officer saw something strange there. She whispered, pointing at the dim readings on her console. A faint circle, barely visible on the sensors. It was not debris, not energy, not a ship. It was nothing, a perfect void in the middle of the storm. Captain Ilara leaned forward, studying it. The crew was silent as she gave the order, "Take us in." The Aegis cut through the final wall of storm clouds, and suddenly, everything changed. The darkness and lightning fell away. The ship glided into an enormous open space, calm, clear, and eerily silent. It was like stepping out of a hurricane into a quiet blue sky. But here, instead of sunlight, a strange dim glow filled the air. The source of that glow stood in the exact center, the alien command vessel. It was enormous, its shape both beautiful and terrifying. It looked like a giant black sphere wrapped in spiraling arcs of lightning. The surface was alive with strange glowing patterns, pulsing like veins carrying light instead of blood. Every few seconds, the arcs of lightning would reach out from the ship's surface into the storm walls, and each pulse seemed to control the movement of the clouds outside. The crew realized the truth instantly. This ship wasn't just inside the storm. It was the storm. It was generating it, controlling it, using it like a living shield. Every drone, every shadow, every piece of wreckage had been placed here on purpose. This was not a hiding place. It was a trap. Ilara studied the alien vessel. Its design was nothing like the warships she'd seen before. There were no visible engines, no gun turrets, no windows. Yet the power it radiated made her skin crawl. It didn't need weapons. The storm was its weapon. And if they destroyed it, the entire storm might collapse. But there was a problem. To reach it, they would have to fly straight across the open space of the storm's eye. There would be no cover, no debris to hide behind. And if the alien ship detected them, they would be caught in its precision fire. The drones could be avoided in the chaos of the storm's walls, but here, in the eye, they would have nowhere to run. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. They all understood the risk, but there was no choice. If they turned back now, Earth would be swallowed by the storm. Ilara stood straight, her voice steady. "We go in slow, no sudden moves. Let's see what they do." The Aegis moved forward. Engines whisper quiet. The alien vessel loomed larger with every passing second. Up close, its surface shifted and flowed, as if it were made of liquid metal that was constantly reshaping itself. The glowing lines across its body pulsed faster now. The storm walls outside began to shift in response. It was reacting to them. It knew they were here. Then, a ripple passed across the alien ship's surface. A section opened like an eyelid, revealing a deep blue light inside. It was not a weapon port. Not exactly. It was. Looking at them, the light pulsed once, twice. Then a sudden beam shot into the clouds above. Within seconds, dozens of alien drones poured into the calm space, forming a defensive ring around the command vessel. "They're not going to let US get close," the weapons officer said quietly. Ilara didn't respond. Her eyes were fixed on the alien ship's center. Somewhere inside that thing was the core, the place they needed to hit, and she already knew. The only way to reach it would be to go through the swarm. The calm of the storm's eye was gone now. The space around them filled with movement and danger. The alien vessel's patterns glowed brighter, the lightning arcs snapping with more force. The storm outside roared louder, as if preparing for the coming fight. The crew of the Aegis braced themselves. They had found the heart of the storm, and the heart was ready to kill them. Asterisk humanity's trick the Aegis hung in the calm heart of the storm. Around them, the alien drones formed a perfect sphere, each one positioned at the exact same distance from the next. It was like looking at a living cage made of metal and light. Every movement from the Aegis was matched by tiny adjustments from the drones. They were fast, precise, and without hesitation, machines designed for perfect hunting. The crew watched their screens in tense silence. Every system on board was active, but not a single one could lock onto the alien ship. Their weapons were ready, but firing now would mean suicide. The drones would overwhelm them in seconds. Captain Alara Voss stood at the center of the bridge, eyes fixed on the alien command vessel beyond the swarm. They had to get inside that ship, but brute force wasn't going to work. Cut the main AI, she said suddenly. The crew stared at her. Ma'am, without the AI we lose targeting, navigation, everything, the helmsman protested. That's the point, she replied, her voice calm but sharp. They can predict our moves because we're predictable. They're reading the AI's patterns. We shut it down and we stop being predictable. One by one, the crew disabled the automated systems. The lights on the consoles dimmed, replaced by manual controls. Old-fashioned levers, switches, and hand-operated targeting scopes came online. Some of the younger crew looked nervous. They had trained for years with AI assistants. But Alara's veterans nodded. They had flown like this before, and without the AI, they would fly like humans. The Aegis drifted slowly forward. The drones adjusted instantly, their perfect formation shifting to block the way. But this time, Alara didn't follow the obvious path. She ordered a sudden drop in speed, then a sharp climb, then a roll that made the crew grab their seats. The drones reacted, but not as quickly. They hesitated for the smallest fraction of a second, and in that second, the Aegis slipped between two of them. The bridge filled with shouts as the crew worked in perfect chaos. No precise computer timing, no algorithm-perfect maneuvers, just instinct, reaction, and gut feeling. The ship zigzagged unpredictably. It would dive toward the alien ship, then veer suddenly to the side, forcing the drones to overshoot. Each time, they gained a little more ground. They can't keep up, the navigator grinned. They've never fought humans before. Alara said quietly, we don't think like machines. But the alien vessel wasn't going to just watch. From its surface, arcs of lightning began, lashing out into the eye of the storm. Each strike came without warning, ripping through space like the hand of a god. One bolt passed so close that the hull of the Aegis glowed red for a moment. The shields groaned under the impact. The crew worked faster, shouting bearings, calling targets, shifting power from one system to another. Alara made the next move even more reckless. Kill the engines for 3 seconds, she ordered. The helmsman hesitated, then obeyed. The Aegis went dead silent, drifting in the middle of the chaos. The drones surged forward, but without engine signatures to track. Their movements faltered. In that moment, the engines roared back to life. The Aegis shot upward, twisting between two drones that collided in a burst of fire and metal. They were close now. The alien command vessel loomed large, its shifting surface glowing with patterns of alien light. Every instinct screamed that they were about to be crushed. But Alara kept her voice steady. Stay on course. Keep them guessing. Another lightning strike came down, this one tearing a drone in half right beside them. The storm was so alive now that it was hard to tell where the alien weapons ended, and the natural chaos began. The crew's knuckles were white, their breath fast, but they were still moving forward, closer, closer, until the alien vessel's surface filled the entire view. They had done the impossible. They had broken through. The swarm. Now came the next impossible step. They had to land. Boarding the beast alien command vessel filled the entire view from the bridge. Its surface rippled like liquid metal, shifting in patterns that made the eyes ache. Every pulse of light across its skin seemed alive, as if the ship was breathing. the Aegis drifted close, riding the storm's inner winds until the hull was almost touching the alien metal. The crew held their breath. One wrong move and the vessel could crush them like an insect. "Find me a docking point," Captain Elara ordered, but the scanners were useless. The alien ship's surface confused every reading. It didn't have doors or hangars in the human sense. It was seamless, like a single living structure. Then the weapons officer spotted it, a section that pulsed slower than the rest, a faint indentation in the hull. "That's our way in," Elara said. The Aegis positioned itself carefully, metal arms extended from the hull, gripping the alien surface with magnetic claws. The ship shuddered as the storm winds pulled at them, but the docking locks held. The boarding team gathered at the airlock, armored and armed, their faces set with grim focus. Elara stood at the front. She had chosen to lead the team herself. This mission wasn't just about courage. It was about trust. If her crew was going into the unknown, she was going with them. The airlock cycled open. A rush of cold, alien-smelling air swept in. They stepped out onto the alien hull, their boots locking magnetically with each step. The surface was warm, vibrating faintly under their feet. It felt like walking on the skin of some giant creature. At the indentation, they placed the breaching charge. It wasn't a normal explosive. It was a shape cutter, designed to slice open any material. When it went off, the metal peeled away in a perfect circle. Beyond was darkness. A tunnel sloped downward into the heart of the ship. The walls glowed faintly, alive with shifting patterns. The team stepped inside, weapons raised. The air was thicker here, heavy and strange. It carried a low hum, like the beating of a massive heart. The deeper they went, the stronger it became. Lights rippled along the walls as they moved. It was as if the ship was aware of their presence. They reached a wide chamber. The ceiling arched high above them, disappearing into shadow. The walls were lined with strange growths, half metal, half flesh. Some pulsed with light. Others twitched as if alive. In the center of the chamber, a pool of shimmering liquid reflected the alien patterns. It wasn't water. It looked like quicksilver, moving and shifting without ripples. Before they could study it, a sound echoed through the chamber, not mechanical, but alive. Figures emerged from the shadows. They were tall, thin, and armored in the same living metal as the ship. Their faces were hidden behind smooth masks. They moved with inhuman grace, their weapons unfolding from their arms. The first shot came from Elara's rifle. It hit one of the aliens square in the chest, sending it crashing into the wall. The rest charged forward in silence. The chamber erupted into chaos. Pulse fire lit the walls. Sparks flew as alien weapons sliced through cover. The human team moved fast, using short bursts and constant motion. Their training was the only thing keeping them alive. 2 aliens fell, but more kept coming. They fought in perfect coordination, moving as if guided by a single mind. Elara realized they were guided. The ship itself was directing them. "Keep moving," she shouted. They fought their way through a side tunnel, slamming the door shut behind them. The hum of the ship was louder now, the air hotter. They were getting close to something important. At the end of the tunnel, they found it, a massive doorway covered in flowing alien script. Beyond this door was the control chamber, the heart of the storm, and the place where they would either end this battle or die trying. Astros, the final precision strike. The massive doorway loomed before them. It was taller than any building they had seen, smooth and seamless except for the glowing alien script that pulsed across its surface. The symbols shifted slowly, almost like they were breathing. Each pulse of light seemed to match the rhythm of the low hum that filled the ship. The hum was so strong now it felt like it was vibrating through their bones. Elara stepped forward, her visor reflecting the shifting light. "This is it," she said quietly. The control chamber lay beyond. The heart of the storm and the mind of the ship. The breaching charge was placed against the door. This one was stronger than the one they had used before, designed to cut through anything. When it went off, there was no explosion. Instead, a blinding flash of white heat carved a perfect circle in the alien metal. The cut section floated forward slowly, revealing the chamber beyond. It was like stepping into the core of a living world. The walls curved upward into a dome, glowing with patterns of light that flowed like rivers. In the center, suspended in midair, was the core. It wasn't just a machine. It was alive, a massive sphere of black and silver, veins of blue light running across its surface. Every pulse of light matched the rhythm of the storm outside. Every flicker was a command sent to the drones. Around the core floated thin, spindly arms of metal that shifted constantly. They moved with precision, adjusting panels, directing energy flows. The core was not unguarded. 3 alien defenders stood in the shadows, their bodies taller and stronger than any they had seen before. Their armor was fused to their skin, and their weapons seemed to grow directly from their arms. The first alien lunged without warning. Its weapon flared with crackling blue energy. Elara rolled to the side, her rifle firing 3 quick bursts. The shots tore through the alien's chest, sending it spinning into the wall. The others charged. Pulse fire lit the chamber, the echoes deafening. The team moved in tight formation, covering each other's flanks. One by one, the defenders fell, their weapons clattering to the floor. Now they stood before the core, up close. The hum was a roar. The air vibrated with so much energy that it was hard to breathe. Can we overload it? The engineer asked. Elara's eyes followed the pulses of light running across the core. Not just overload, we have to time it, she said. The core's energy wasn't constant. Every few seconds, there was a brief dip, a moment when the flow was weaker. It was short, less than a heartbeat, but it was their only chance. The engineer set the charges around the base of the core, the detonator linked to a timer that could be triggered manually. We have one shot, he said. If they set it off too early, the core's shield would absorb it. Too late, and the blast would kill them before they could escape. Elara's eyes never left the pulsing veins of light. On my mark, she said. The seconds stretched into eternity. The glow brightened, then dimmed now. The engineer slammed the trigger. The charges erupted in a blinding flash. The core screamed. Not a mechanical sound, but something alive in pain. The veins of light went wild, flashing faster than the eye could follow. The chamber shook violently, cracks ripping across the floor and walls. Outside, the storm roared louder than ever. Then it began to collapse. Lightning arced wildly, tearing through the alien vessel itself. The drones in the storm's eye faltered and fell. The walls of the storm spun faster, folding inward like a giant whirlpool. The pull of gravity shifted, dragging everything toward the collapsing core. Elara, we have to go, the navigator shouted. The team sprinted back through the tunnels. The walls were breaking apart, the glow fading. They reached the airlock and leapt inside the Aegis just as the alien hull began to fold in on itself. Punch it, Elara ordered. The Aegis tore away from the dying vessel, racing toward the breach in the storm behind them. The core exploded in a final burst of blinding blue light. Victory in the eye. The Aegis burst out of the collapsing storm behind them. The massive walls of swirling clouds twisted inward, folding and breaking apart. Lightning danced across the dark sky one final time before vanishing completely. Where the storm had been, there was now only open space. The stars shone through for the first time in weeks, cold and brilliant. For a moment, no one on the bridge spoke. They just stared. They had made it. They were alive. The comm systems crackled. Back to life. Earth's defense network was online again. Voices poured in, confused, frantic, relieved. Is it over? Someone asked through the static. Elara didn't answer right away. Her eyes were on the fading debris of the alien vessel. She knew what they had done. They had destroyed the heart of the storm. But victory was never that simple. The crew worked quickly to stabilize the ship. The storm's collapse had battered the hull, stripped away armor, and drained power reserves. But the Aegis still flew, still fought, still survived. The engineer smiled weakly. Not bad for a ship that wasn't supposed to come back. No one laughed, but there were faint grins across the tired faces. As they cleared the last fragments of debris, Earth came into view, blue and white, shining in the distance. Home. It looked peaceful, untouched, if not for the wreckage drifting around them. One might have thought nothing had happened at all, but they all knew better. A message came through from command. Enemy fleet signatures have disappeared. All drones inactive. Planetary defense grid is secure. There was cheering on the channel, but Elara stayed quiet. Something in the pit of her stomach told her the silence in space was not permanent. This had been one battle, one victory, but the war was still waiting. The navigator turned from her station. Captain, long-range sensors are picking up something faint, very faint, far beyond the outer colonies. Elara didn't need to hear more. She understood. Whatever had sent the storm would not stop here. They had just proven humanity could fight back. Now the enemy would take them seriously. She stood in the center of the bridge, looking out at the endless black ahead. Her voice was calm, steady. Enjoy the stars while you can, she said. We've bought ourselves time, but the next storm will come. The crew didn't argue. They knew she was right. Humanity had survived not because of stronger weapons or faster ships, but because of something the aliens couldn't predict: instinct, courage, and the will to fight even when the odds said run. The Aegis turned toward Earth, engines burning bright below them. The planet's oceans shimmered under the sunlight. Above them, the wreckage of the storm drifted silently into the void. The eye of the storm was gone, but its memory and its warning would never be forgotten. Somewhere far beyond human reach, in the cold darkness between the stars, a faint pulse of light answered the destruction of the alien core. It was not a distress signal. It was an awakening, and it was moving toward Earth. Elara watched the horizon of space and felt the weight of it. The crew thought they were returning home for rest. She knew they were returning home to prepare. When chaos returned, they would be ready, because now humanity knew how to fight in the eye of the storm.